Hello everybody, it is Calxiyn here, and if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure that you guys subscribe, ring the notification bell for more Kingdom Hearts videos, all that sort of stuff. And if you guys want to support the channel directly, you guys should click the join button, which is like here, or become a patron over on Patreon. So today I wanted to basically go over the theory that Isa and Lee's friend that they mentioned in Kingdom Hearts 3 is either Skuld, Strelitzia, or Ava. So I basically sort of want to do like a process of elimination type video, if that makes sense, and sort of, you know, go over okay, it can't be X because of Y, or it's most likely this because of that, like based off of the secret reports and other information that we've sort of got and all that stuff. So if you guys, you know, enjoy all that, you guys should comment down below. I do have some notes that I am looking at just because I do have to read out the secret reports. I don't usually heavily script my videos, but I do need to be able to see what is going on because this is all very crazy. So to get this out of the way, I initially thought when I played the game, my first instinct is Skuld because she has black hair and so does Xion, and so this may not make sense to you guys, but basically my idea was that it would be a nice parallel almost, or a nice contrast, and I don't think they got a good look at her in the secret reports, judging by what they said in the secret reports, but I feel like it would be a comparison more for the audience, and this may be you guys may be like, Cal, what, this doesn't mean anything, but could it be possible that Xion reminded Lee of Isa of their lost friend, of Skuld? And that made it really painful for Isa because he said he was jealous, right? And so what if he was sort of, you know, jealous of the fact that Lee didn't only make new friends, but he just replaced the friend that they had been looking for, he had just forgotten all about her, and just replaced her with Xion, and in Isa's sort of mind, Xion's just an empty puppet sort of thing, right? And so I thought that would be a really good comparison because they sort of look similar, right? I don't think that they have a similar personality, but to be honest, no offense to the KH girls, but all their personalities tend to be the same sometimes. I'm just saying, right? Skuld does seem to have a bit more of an edge on her, but you know, it's sort of hard because the Union Cross updates are so far behind that everybody's just looking at the translated Japanese, and personality I think can get lost in translation sometimes. But yeah, so I sort of have had that idea that you know, it would be Skuld because you can make sort of comparisons and parallels to Xion that maybe the characters wouldn't necessarily recognize, but it definitely would be an audience thing. I also want to note that I saw on Twitter that someone said that Nomura confirmed that Ava's not Lee and Isa's friend, or that she's not the Nameless Star, in an interview or something, and I read the Ultima interview and I couldn't find a source for that, so take that with a grain of salt or whatever. But yeah, I thought that was weird that I saw that on Twitter going around, that somebody said it was confirmed in the Ultima, but in the in the interview thing, but when I was looking, I guess, at KH13's translation, for example, it said nothing about that. But anyway, let's read Secret Report 1. So, recollections, am I alive? I awoke in a cell, alone until the researchers came with their tests and their prodding to uncover my identity. I had no answer to offer them, 4 friends and a key. That is the sum total of my memory. I could not even recall my name. I was simply called X there. My only solace was the time I spent talking with 2 boys who would visit me from time to time. One day, a man came to take me from the prison. I could not see him for the darkness, save he wore an eye patch. Even now, years on, I feel no closer to understanding who or what I am. May my heart be my guiding key, unknown. So this is clearly from the friend, right? It's clearly from the perspective of Subject X, or whatever, right? And so now this character says that they had 4 friends, right? So Ava had Gula, Envy, Acid, and Ira. Or Ira? Anyway, I would argue that she was also friends with Lushu and Ephemera, or Ephemera. I don't know what we're calling him. I know people like Ephemera better, but they changed it. Anyway, but that argument may be shaky, because I would say, okay, she doesn't just have 4 friends, she has you know, she has 6, or yeah, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, she has 6 friends, right? And so I would say, well, that doesn't really point in the direction of Ava, but you guys could be no, Ava, if it was Ava, she would only be thinking about Gula, Envy, Sid, and Ira. She wouldn't be thinking about, you know, Lushu or like Ephemera or whatever, right? She says, may my heart be my guiding key and like all of that stuff. And so like that could point, that could point to Ava as well, obviously, because they say like, may your heart be your guiding key and all of that. Like, you know, the Master of Masters says that, like it's in Kingdom Hearts 3 as well. Like other characters have said that, right? But to move over to Skuld, so Skuld has 4 friends, I would say, like Ven, Ephemera, Brain, and Lurium, which is Marluxia. I'm not sure if I said any of those correctly. I mean, Brain is just, that's his name, isn't it? Like, it's not Brian, it's like literally Brain. But anyway, and I'm sure that they also have like the may your heart be your guiding key thing, like between each other. Like, we could assume that that may be something that they say or that they've learned. Like, I keep up with the Union Cross updates, but like it's extremely hard to search for information when like it's been translated by somebody else, and when there aren't like easy transcripts necessarily like accessible. So I don't know like if any of them have actually said that yet, but if they haven't, they could say it in the future. If they have, then this argument, like this part doesn't matter. If they say that, then they say that, and that's enough, right? I would like to say, though, that the first secret report to me would remove Strelitzia, just because, like, you guys have already probably figured this out. Like, you know, somebody killed her in Union Cross, like, so why is she even an option, right? But, like, death hasn't stopped people in Kingdom Hearts. Like, let's be honest, death never stops anyone. Regardless of that, though, let's just imagine that instead of Strelitzia just dying, she, like, ended up in the future. Right? I would say Strelitzia doesn't have 4 friends. Like, she's pretty shy, she's pretty secluded, she was distant even from Marluxia, and like he is her brother, right? So I would say that this takes her out as a possibility. So basically Strelitzia is friendless, so she doesn't get to count. I know that's so sad, I'm so sorry. So Secret Report 3, Experiments of the Heart, Notes on Subject X, Excerpt 1. So subject was found in the central square shortly after dawn. Female, approximately 15 years old. After 7 days observation, she spoke her first words but could not provide a name. Subject exhibits signs of profound amnesia and displays concern about which world this is. Her words suggest that she departed her homeworld with others, though she cannot recall the names of her erstwhile companions. All efforts to explore those memories have met with a rejection response. After his initial experiments on me, Ansem the Wise ceased his research into the heart. His hands stayed by some fear I cannot fathom. Yet this new subject is like me, devoid of memories. She is the perfect sample upon which to continue my master's work. She, too, could benefit from it. By traversing the heart, we have a direct path into memory. I myself have begun to reclaim my lost past, thanks to these very experiments. Who is she? Whence has she come? These are questions no scientist could ignore. And the words she muttered, may your heart be your guiding key. So Xehanort says that. And this report doesn't necessarily help us, since Ava and Skuld could be the same age. Like, I feel like Ava's probably the youngest, or at least younger. Like, Ira and Cid strike me as like a little older or the same age as Terra and Aqua, whereas Ava seems more around the age of like Kairi, Xion, right? And so they could be the same age. It said that she departed her homeworld with others, and that could be a hint, because obviously, like, you know, all of the foretellers are summoned, right, in the epilogue. And so if they all left to do whatever, right, I don't know if they've just been asleep, or if they've been like, I don't know, if they've just hung out in the future not doing anything. Like, that's a bit confusing, because if it's been like 1,000 years, then they should be like dead. But obviously it seems like to me the foretellers, I don't know, like they either, you know, escaped into the future and have been like prepping for like this moment of being summoned back. But maybe Ava's talking about how like she left with all the foretellers to the future, since they all seem to be there in the epilogue. Nomura also says in the Ultima interview, why does Maleficent know about the black box? Nomura says, after the events of KH1, Maleficent ended up in Kingdom Hearts Union Cross. She then returned to the present day in KH2. The fact she can travel between the current time and the future is related to why the ancient Keyblade wielders are in the current day, right? And so I'm assuming that this would apply to the foretellers, but I'm assuming that this more applies to like Ventus and Marluxia, because like the foretellers, unless the foretellers were just alive for, again, like for hundreds of years, they had to be dragged into the future, right? Or if they were, I don't know, somehow like asleep or just like didn't age or something. But based on what's happening in Union Cross right now, I'm leaning towards this being more of a reference to Skuld. Like her and Ventus, like maybe that her and Ventus were the first ones to end up in the future basically, and then other people followed. Does that make sense? So like, they haven't been yet, but in Union Cross right now, it's hard to explain, but like the world seems to be glitching and some weird stuff is going on, and then Skuld and Ven were sort of like, maybe we should investigate this. Like they're the two that were like kind of, you know, feeling like something was weird and something was going on, and they like see some shit, like all of that stuff, right? And so this report doesn't really help us, but if I had to guess, I'm guessing that Ven and Skuld will be the first ones thrown into the future, and that'll sort of, you know, that'll sort of work, or that'll sort of make sense. And then like Marluxia and like whoever, like Marluxia, Ephemera, and then Brain, they're all gonna follow behind somehow, maybe. Or maybe Ephemera doesn't, because maybe, you know, Ephemera was in that sort of thing that Sora had, but maybe he died. Like, maybe, you know, Ven and Skuld get separated, right? Like, they get thrown into the future. Marluxia goes after them, but maybe Brain and Skuld, like, die back. You know what I mean? Or maybe, like, maybe Brain goes, I don't know. I think that in another Ultima interview, they say that Ericus is a descendant of the Dandelions. They say he's a blue blood, which I'm like, okay. And so I wonder if Brain, like, even though Brain is like the, I don't want to call him the traitor, but he's like the interloper, he wasn't supposed to be there. I'm like 99% sure that he's gonna be the traitor. But anyway, my point is that maybe, like, he could definitely be Ericus's, like, ancestor or something, so maybe he went in the future too. But then the question, like, that begs the question, what happened to Ephemera? Like, where did he go? But anyways, that's off topic. I'm just pondering like other thoughts while we're doing this video. I don't know why, but the lore stuff is interesting. Also, if you guys have something from Kingdom Hearts Union Cross that you guys think is like relevant, you guys should probably comment it down below, because I've probably missed like other stuff that you guys may be like, oh, well, here Skuld says this, and so this connects to that. Anyway, to help with my Xion and Skuld comparison too, like, Xion didn't say her first words for a long while either. Like, it takes Skuld 7 days to say anything, and Xion was silent like for a bit, and so like Xion didn't have amnesia, right? But it could sort of further a comparison between Lee and Xion being friends, and then Isa, Lee, and Skuld all being friends. That's just my hot take on that. So let's look at Secret Report 4, and we're almost done. Experiments of the Heart. Notes on Subject X Excerpt 2. Subject's memories have not returned, and our conversations remain less than lucid. Yikes. Fragments can be gleaned, evoke a begone world like one out of fairy tales. As improbable as it seems, the question may not be where she has come from, but when. If she has truly crossed time, the prospect of probing her heart is all the more compelling. My pilot studies used a handful of subjects, but none possessed the fortitude to endure them. Ultimately, all suffered mental collapse. I knew it would be a heavy blow to lose a subject as unique as she. Upon discovering the test I've been conducting, my master demanded I cease my work immediately and destroy what research I have compiled. Worse still, he has ordered the release of my remaining subjects. She is gone. Where is Subject X now? Has the wise Master Ansem hidden her away? Whatever the case, I will not be deterred. I will take her place as the first subject in the grand experiment to come. So maybe this is really what pushed Xehanort over the edge and made him a little more crazy, if that makes sense. Like, more crazy than he already kind of was, because this is obviously all taking place after the events of Birth by Sleep, right? But still. And this report does help us a bit more than the last. Like, this tells us that, like, when Ansem, Seeker of Darkness, was like, where's the girl? Like, in, you know, the Dark Realm and all that, like, confronted Ansem the Wise. He was asking about where he had Subject X hidden away. And a lot of people, myself included, have sort of had that theory that in the basement of the Twilight Town mansion, there are these pods that could have possibly been holding, like, other sleeping Keyblade wielders. And I personally think that this theory is pretty possible, especially because, like, whether it's Ava or Skuld that she's hidden away in the basement of Twilight Town, some people have been doing, like, beyond the beyond the, like, boundaries or whatever, like, Kingdom Hearts 3 boundary breaks, and somebody was able to go inside of, like, Naminé's little thing, and there's a drawing that Naminé made of Daybreak Town, like, from Kingdom Hearts Union Cross, and so that's obviously sort of interesting, and people are saying that, like, based on that, Twilight Town may have had something that was cut from the game, because, like, why would you include new pictures in there if nobody was gonna ever see them, right? Like, it sort of implies to people that Twilight Town and the mansion was gonna be something that you could go into and would be sort of part, you know, part of the town or part of the plot or something, and then it didn't, you know, it didn't come to fruition. So I would say this could explain why Ava didn't show up to the foreteller meeting. Like, I know Lucia was like, well, I didn't call her, she's busy, right? But, like, what if she's sleeping in the basement, which is why she's a no-show? Like, I'm not sure how summoning works, but, like, she either, like, ignored being summoned because Lucia was like, don't worry about it. Lucia didn't even try. And it seems like Lucia didn't try. She was like, oh, like, Ava's busy, it doesn't matter, right? Or she could be asleep, right? Like, she could be just sleeping down there and, like, Lucia's trying to cover it up. Ah, nothing's wrong, right? Like, this also, like, begs another question, but I'll get to that in a minute. But I'm leaning more towards Skuld again, just because Xehanort somehow finds Ventus later. And in the Ultima interview, Nomura says, wait, does that mean that Xehanort knew Ventus was an ancient Keyblade wielder? Guess that means I have to show their meeting, Nomura says. And so if Xehanort knew this, could it be possible because of the interactions with Skuld? So here's my line of reasoning, by the way. If Subject X is Ava, Ava didn't really interact much with Ven, so she wouldn't really know. Like, she would have known that he was chosen, I guess, right? But, like, she didn't really interact with Ven and, like, Brain compared to, like, Ephemere, who she clearly had, like, an interaction and sort of, like a quote-unquote friendship with, right? But if Subject X was Skuld, Skuld would have known and would have been friends with Ven, right? And so she could have had something to do with Xehanort finding out that Ventus was an ancient Keyblade wielder, because what if he was able to sort of look in her heart and, like, be able to string out some of the memories, even if, you know, like, with the data, even if she disappeared, even if, you know, all of that sort of stuff happened. Like, what if he, even after she was gone, was able to sort of unlock something using the computer? This sounds so ridiculous, but you guys understand what I'm saying, right? Like, if he kept the data on her, even after she left, what if he was able to crack the code of her memory somehow? I don't know. Anyway, it makes more sense for Skuld to be the one that sort of accidentally or indirectly, you know, gives up that Ven is an ancient Keyblade wielder. Whether that's because she remembered something and she tried to, like, tell somebody, or because she, you know, like, she was being poked and prodded, and eventually, like, through the computer and, like, through data or something, they were able to sort of see all the other Keyblade wielders or something. So that's sort of, like, my line of reasoning on that, is that Ava didn't really interact with Ven. And so if Skuld accidentally sold Ven out, like, the only way that Xehanort would sort of know about Ventus, like, there's a couple different avenues this could go, but in terms of people that he found out about Ven about, it would only make sense for Skuld to be that person. Does that make sense? I think that makes sense. You guys probably understand what I'm saying, is that if Subject X was the one who revealed this info, it being Ava doesn't make sense, because, like, Ava didn't, like, she didn't really know Ven, so, like, I don't know how much info they could get out of her, whereas Skuld, right, she has all these interactions with Marluxia, she has all these interactions with Ventus, and so, you know, if Xehanort was going after Ven and going after Marluxia and all of that stuff, you know, it's pretty possible that she may have accidentally, like, exposed them or something, right? You guys probably get what I mean, but I don't know. That's just sort of speculation. Some other notes, though. Skuld's name, according to the wiki, I don't know if this is right, but it means the only in charge of the future. Or maybe that's supposed to be the one in charge of the future. I'm not sure if that's a mistake or not. Anyway, the one in charge of the future or whatever. And in one of the secret reports, it does mention that, like, you know, one of the union leaders isn't someone the Master picks, right? And, you know, they may be trying to get everyone in the future, basically. It also talks about, like, the Lady of Magic, which is Maleficent, Nomura said. I'm leaning towards a traitor being Brain, again, just because of the recent Union Cross update, and, like, he's like, so it begins, like, as if he knows what's going on. Like, he's just sketchy as fuck, right? But Skuld's name may sort of be a hint to her being thrown into the future, right? And all that sort of stuff. And maybe, like, not just her being thrown into the future, but Skuld ending up in the future sort of, you know, carries off this chain of events where Xehanort finds out about Ven and finds out about, all that sort of stuff. I mean, wait. I guess that also begs the question. Another question is the timeline of all this. And so this is sort of the other thing, is that we know Xehanort has been time traveling, and one of you guys may have been thinking about this already, but, you know, Xehanort was an apprentice for Ansem the Wise, after he went into Terra, and after he started, you know, doing all of that stuff, if that makes sense. And so I guess this would create a paradox. Like, I guess this would create a paradox of some kind, but what if, like, Xehanort found out about Ven because of Skuld, and then went back in time to tell himself about Ven, to make sure he knew about Ven when the time would have been right, and then that would have created the events in Birth by Sleep. Because, like, right, it doesn't, like, if Skuld somehow exposed Ven, right, he needed to know about Ven before all this, and so I guess the time travel would make sense for that, but it's still sort of weird to sort of think about, if that makes sense. Like, I'm sure that you guys understand what I mean, but basically, like, you know, Xehanort was apprenticing for Ansem the Wise. He got the info about Ven from Skuld, or, like, Subject X or whoever, right? And then later he went back in time to sort of meet Ven, and then cause the events of Birth by Sleep, and then the timeline just keeps going as normal, which, like, again, it creates a paradox, because, like, if the events of Birth by Sleep didn't happen, would Xehanort ever apprentice for Ansem the Wise? But also, if Xehanort's going back in time, I'm sure he could have ensured that. So yeah, that gets a little messy, and so I don't know how strong my point is, just because the only way that it can sort of be explained would be, like, through the time travel stuff. But to be honest, because the time travel stuff comes up so much, and because younger Xehanort was told of all of the plans by older Xehanort, then older Xehanort would have to have had Ventus be a part of the plan. Right? Okay, so this isn't as far-fetched as I think. Anyway, this is everything I have. The hard facts, some weird time travel speculation, all that stuff. Again, I'm leaning more towards Skuld. I feel like, you know, Luxu wouldn't just let Ava be experimented on if she had a different role to play, unless that was her role. But then if that was her role, why? Like, that doesn't make much sense to me. Like, I feel like it's possible she may have just been instructed to, like, do something else, and she doesn't show up because Luxu just didn't bother to call her, like, knowing she was busy doing the other stuff. And I also just like the idea of Skuld being able to be compared to Xion, like, in appearance and situation, sort of all that. And that's basically it. That is all that I got. So let me know down in the comments what you guys think, if the time travel stuff is too much. If you guys think that anything what I said is possible. If you guys want to tell me more about Union Cross, something I may have missed, all that. And I will see you guys later. Bye. Thank you guys for watching, and thank you to all of our lovely patrons who have decided to support us over on Patreon. If you guys want to join up, there are a bunch of cool rewards for you guys, and some of the fan favorite rewards, you guys could say, are getting early access to our videos, being able to join and talk in our Discord server, being able to request videos at the $10 tier using video tickets. Those are just some of them, and so if any of those things interest you guys should check it out, become a patron, join our lovely patrons and I in the Discord server, and I will see you all in another video. Bye, guys!